Alright, so let's say you want to create a new character, but you're completely stumped for a design. What's a good solution? How about an adoptable? With your hopes set high, you go off in search for a beautiful design you can simply fall in love with, and then... and then you find these kind of adoptables. I truly have an intense dislike for these kind of adoptables. And before anybody jumps the gun and starts blowing up the comment section, allow me to explain why. These are what I call cookie-cutter adoptables, meaning they are all nearly identical, cut from the exact same base. They've only been altered in color, and very rarely, slight differences in the body. These kind of adoptables have always felt like nothing but a cash grab to me. They're all about just making money. There's no creativity in the design. I've even seen some that go as far as to literally just grab an image off of photo stock websites and just overlay that on top of the base. Some that they even still have the watermark in them. I don't understand why people think that this makes an acceptable adoptable. Now, bear in mind, this is only my opinion, but I do feel an adopt should be unique enough to grab the public's attention. It should be something that you see it and you go, oh wow, that's so unique, I've never seen anything like it, it looks special, it looks awesome, it looks like actual heart went into the design. It's not just about the money, it's about somebody creating a character that could potentially become someone's Sona even, instead of just making something quick and easy. Make it iconic and memorable, something that can really stand out even as a silhouette. In this video, I do intend to do more than just fire off shots at why I so detest these cookie-cutter adoptables, but I'd like to show you some ways as an artist that you can improve your adopts and make them more unique and desirable with just a few simple techniques. So stay tuned if you're interested in learning about that. Also, if you haven't noticed, the background has kind of got some construction tape. Don't worry about that. I may or may not be working on something a little bit special to sort of spice up my YouTube channel when I do videos like this in the future. Now, before we begin, I do want to address one fact. The number one thing I tend to see with adoptables is that people use bases to make them. Now, there's nothing completely wrong with that. You can use a base and still make an absolutely gorgeous adoptable. The problem is in the execution. Oftentimes when I see bases that are used for adoptables, they tend to just be colored in. There's no real edits that are made, and generally the edits that do get made don't quite match with the line work. The whole point of using a base is that all the hard work of the lines have been done for you. The primary body, all the main details, they're there. All you have to do is just add onto it to make it more unique. Alright, so now I'm going to boot up my canvas and show you guys step by step how you could go about designing a unique and original adoptable, or even a character for yourself. So first of all, you're going to want to have something to kind of base your inspiration off of, and for this project I've decided to select a couple of animals. So we have a tiger, a king cheetah, and a peacock. I thought these would be a really nice combo because there's some beautiful markings here, and some color palettes that are really nice and neutral, which look great on the eyes. So the first thing that you're going to want to do whenever coming up with a design, especially unique ones, is just get a feel for the shapes in here. So I'm just drawing out the shapes of the markings of these different animals and kind of seeing what they look like. You know, they're fairly complex. So if you're going for something that's a little bit more on the simplistic side, probably avoid very complex inspirations like this, but they can always be simplified down. I tend to go a little bit above and beyond with some of my designs because I really like that unique feel. I want them to look like nothing else out there. So by drawing in a couple little shapes like this, it kind of gives your brain a better idea of what these things would look like if you put them on a character. And with the peacock feathers, I wanted to have really unique feathers on this character that I'm going to be designing. And I loved these beautiful white peacock feathers just because of how elegant and graceful they looked. Their length is just absolutely gorgeous. They just have this really ethereal feel to them, but I wasn't quite sure what style I wanted to go for, and that's perfectly okay when you're coming up with a design. Experiment, try a couple different things, and just kind of see what works best for you. Maybe you want to go with the highly detailed route. Maybe you want to go super simplistic. There's all different ways that you can do it. It's all just a matter of breaking down the basic designs and then going from there. As you can see with this ridiculously basic one. Once you have a general idea for your concept down, then you can start doing some pre-sketching to sort of apply it. Now, you don't have to be a superb artist to do this, but if you are looking to sell adoptables, it may be something that you're going to want to work on, is developing your own style. Base adopts only take you so far. You have to be able to make your own stuff from time to time. So I just really quickly, roughly sketched up a sort of dragon front half minus the head, because I just wanted to see how these kind of markings would flow onto a body itself. So we just have this really rough shape here, and then I started adding the markings on there, trying to blend all three properly. So we've got the king cheetah markings that are going in here, put a couple of the tiger stripes maybe down the neck, a couple little spots, and just sort of blend these designs in a way that seems cohesive. Bearing in mind that when you are designing markings on a character, make sure that they contour to the body. Bodies aren't flat, they're three-dimensional, so they would wrap around like that. And then I had the idea to maybe put these feathers coming off of the top of the head, kind of like some birds have. And you can see just what an amazing design that looks like just by itself. Yeah, it's complex, it needs some work, but just look at that. Those markings blend together so well. Get the right color palette in there, and you could have a really exotic and graceful design. Now, before I move into this next portion, I had debated on using a base in order to design a character for an adoptable, but I think personally, it's better to hand draw something when it comes to adopts. Even if you make the base yourself, it's still okay, just don't be afraid to alter it a little bit. Maybe change the muscle structure, maybe make it shorter, taller, maybe it's got a longer torso, maybe it's got a different head shape, eye shape. Maybe it's got no wings, maybe it's got wings, maybe it has a big poofy tail, maybe it's got a short little nub tail. There's so many different ways you can easily alter the base structure of something that's been pre-rendered like that and make it more unique. Try to avoid same face syndrome. If you're not exactly sure what that is, it's basically where a design will look exactly the same because a creator has been using a base. Sure, the colors may be different, they may have altered the head, they may have completely changed the design to make them look totally different, but if you were to strip them of those accents, the anatomy would be identical. This is one nitpick I really have with a lot of base adopts, especially when it comes to unique and original species. There is variance in life. There are some things that look different. Look at people, look at animals. I guarantee there are no two dogs that are perfectly identical, just as there are no two people that are perfectly identical. Even twins look a little bit different from one another. Now, before I even begin to hear those, "But this is my art style, this is just how I draw faces." No. You, as an artist, have to grow. You have to venture out, and you have to understand that the dog face does not fit for every single species on the planet because they're different. You have to adapt, you have to change, and you have to be able to draw different kinds of face shapes. You can't just always draw the exact same face. It has to be different. With that out of the way, I will go ahead and sketch up a really quick base of my own to use for this character design, and then we will go from there. When I want to create an awesome looking adoptable, I tend to keep 5 main things in mind. Number 1 being species. Is it something that is interesting? Is it something that people would see and go, this is awesome, I want to buy this? Or even if your adoptables are free, is it something that you think people would be interested in? The whole point of an adoptable is to appeal to your audience so that they will want that character. So the first step is going to be selecting your species. In my case, I've had an idea in my head for a while now on what I wanted to do, so I've decided to choose a Dutch angel dragon. They're fluffy, they're cute, and they're just so much fun to design. Alright, step 1 down. I now have a species selected. Now I can move into the next portion, which is going to be coming up with a color palette. There are so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of color palettes out there. You can always find one that you really enjoy and bounce off of that for ideas, or you can create a new color palette. But something important to always keep in mind when it comes to color palettes is to pick something cohesive. What is a cohesive color palette? Something cohesive would be like my character Neffertity. Her primary body is a white color. She has mostly blue accents, but there's that little touch of warmer color with her bright yellow underbelly. Her color scheme works, and it's soft on the eyes. However, say you really like the color purple. Okay, so you'll go purple as your primary. Oh, but you also like the color green, so then you pick a nice watermelon green. Oh, but then you also like black. Black. That's right. And neon pink. Ah, that's another good color. So let's throw all these colors into a character and...
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation.
This color palette doesn't quite work in this arrangement. Now that's not to say that these colors can't go well together, but it is something that you should probably do research on what else has your color palette before you slap it on your character like this. If you have so many bright neon colors, it's generally a good idea to try and balance them out with more neutral tones, things like blacks, whites, browns, grays, soft, muted colors like that. I thought long and hard about what kind of a color palette I wanted to do, and I almost was tempted to go for a really bright blue and orange color palette, but I felt like it was just a little bit too much, and I wanted to go for something a little more subtle, and still keeping with those earthy tones from the animals that I'd referenced earlier. So with that, I selected this as my color palette. I picked this nice, rusty, orangish brown that I think is going to suit really well with these softer creams. We have a black, we have a white, and then my little pop of extra color in there is with these 2 shades of blue. I think this color palette works really well together, and even just looking at it in the swatch, it looks like it blends cohesively. Okay, so now we have 2 steps down. We now have our species and our color palette. What's the next thing we need? We need ourselves a nice clean line art. There are tons of free line art resources, as well as some more high quality ones that you can purchase for very, very reasonable prices, or you can make your own. Try to keep things nice and orderly, and you'll find that your work will look much more professional when you do so, thus drawing in more people looking to buy your adoptables. We have our species, we have our color palette, and now we have our line work. What are the last 2 steps we need? We need to give this character an actual unique appearance. While it is tempting just to straight color in the lines and act like this is a coloring book, it does mean the design is ridiculously simplistic. Let's start by just laying down our colors and see how they look on this character. This is a good time to sort of develop early on markings and just basic forms like that. It's amazing how just putting down a couple of colors can really make a difference in a character's design. I really love the way that these colors flow together, but he does need a little bit more work. I think he needs some more markings in there, so let's go ahead and throw a couple in, based on the original designs that I was concepting earlier. This will obviously differ from what you're doing, so be sure to tie in things one at a time and don't try to dive into it full force all at once. You may get overwhelmed. I tried to blend in more of the tiger markings here, and I also did a little bit with the face. It kind of created this like pseudo band-aid over the nose, which kind of gives that rough tomboy-esque feel to it. And I don't know, I just think it's a little detail, but it's a cute little detail. I also slightly changed the way the eyes were done, and I made the wings a little more unique as well. It's something that I kind of played around with, especially with that stripe on the back. And while I do like the tiger-esque feel that this has, I still feel like it's missing something. It needs that more unique, that more original touch. For me, when I'm really trying to get that more unique appearance for a character, I use the silhouette method, where I'll draw a piece on it and then completely black out the entire image and see the shadow it casts. If it's a unique looking shadow, awesome, I proceed forward. But if it still looks a little bit too much like something else, or if it just looks more meh, I go back and I alter it some more until I'm eventually happy with it. There is only so far you can go with markings alone. You do have to go that extra mile to really make a character stand out and be unique. With that said, I think I'm ready to unveil the line work that I created for this character. Da-da-da-da! This beautiful little line art took me, probably about 4.5 hours, but art is time, and if you take your time with it, it will definitely show. But now that I have my line work, and I'm happy with the silhouette that it creates, now I have to actually start applying the colors onto the character. And as I said with the pre-draft, I didn't really like the whole tiger-esque feel that character had. It was nice, but it didn't quite fit the aesthetic that I wanted him to have. So I went ahead and doodled and played with different markings, and the end result is this beautiful child. By looking at this, you can really see how I altered the design, and I brought in more of those king cheetah markings that I think they're absolutely gorgeous. And on this character, they worked out so well, which brought me into the 5th and final tip with character creation for adoptables, which is give them a personality. Look, this design speaks bounds. It looks like a goofy, fun-loving tomboy. It looks like a sweetheart. It looks cute. It looks approachable, but it also looks like it could have your back in a 2v1 battle. When coming up with unique and amazing adoptables for people, it's always important to keep in mind that you're creating something that could be monumental for that person. Somebody wandering along may find exactly what they've been searching for heaven knows how long. I've known people in the past that have been searching for a Sona or their own main character for literally years and have been unable to create one or find something that works well enough. This is one of the reasons why I absolutely love designing characters with a passion, and I had so much fun designing this character. Adoptables don't have to be cookie-cutter abominations. They can be unique and filled with life and amazing designs. They can really bring out the inner creativity in you. So don't stop at just coloring book level. Go that above and beyond. Make something unique. Make something special. Make something that will truly turn the world. I really appreciate that you took the time to watch this video, and I hope that you learned a couple new techniques from it, and you picked up something special. Who knows? Maybe I'll see your adoptables scooting around the marketplace next time. You never know. I'm always on the lookout for something awesome and unique. And this character that I designed in this particular video, I actually have a really special plan for. Can you guess what it is? This little boy is an adoptable. That's right. He is going to be for sale. However, he's a little different than what you might expect. This little guy isn't just an adopt for the character. He's going to be an adoptable bundle that I'm creating, which is going to come with this reference sheet, 10 Telegram stickers, an avatar, a cute little Carrie plushie, and the biggest part of all, a partial fursuit. That's right. This little guy is going to include a head, paws, feet, wings, and a tail. And maybe arm sleeves depending on time, but we'll see how that goes. If this is something you're interested in, please be sure to check out my social medias that are on screen right now. You may want to follow my Facebook, as that's probably going to be the very first place that he's announced for sale. After that, he's probably going to jump around from site to site until I can find someone who's interested in him. Just be prepared that because of all the goodies that comes with him, he's going to be expensive. We're talking hundreds of dollars. This fursuits aren't cheap. If this is something that you're interested in, please be sure to follow his progress, and we will work through it, and in time, when I eventually announce the fact that he is going to be for sale, maybe he's yours. Maybe he's exactly what you're looking for. But that's enough of my rambling. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and a fantastic life. Shit. Damn, that sucker snuck up on me. I was not prepared. And that's gonna be an end screen blooper right there.